We are live.
Good evening, everyone. Adequate notice of this meeting of the Lawrence Township Council being held on Tuesday, September 17, 2024, has been provided through the posting of the annual meeting schedule of said council in accordance with Section 13 of the Open Public Meetings Act. Said notice was forwarded to the Trentonian, the Times, and the Princeton Packet on December 11, 2023. I'd like to just take a moment to thank our Councilman Kanaki and Bobbitt for the September 11th remembrance. It was a very beautiful ceremony, so just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge their hard work on that, as well as the 33rd anniversary of our Lawrence Senior Center, which was this past week, and Executive Director Lillian LaSalle also did a beautiful job with that celebration. I also wanted to share that it is currently Hispanic Heritage Month, which runs from September 15th through October 15th. And being of Latina heritage, I just want to give you two quotes from my favorite sports people. Roberto Clemente, who was my Puerto Rican hero, he said, "Anytime you have an opportunity to make a difference in this world, and you don't, then you are wasting your time on earth." And then from the great Chichi Rodriguez, he said, "Only fools live in the past or carry envy to the present." And with that, we'll have a moment of inspiration. Madam Clerk.
May we carry out our work at this meeting in a just, honorable, and sincere manner, always bearing in mind our duties and continuing to keep Lawrence a wonderful community in which to live. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, if we could have a roll call, please.
Mr. Bobby?
Here.
Mr. Kanaki?
Here.
Ms. Perry?
Here.
Mr. Ryan?
Here.
Mayor Farmer?
Here. And now we will, are there any special proclamations that we have? Okay, recognitions. At this time, we will have a presentation from Council Member Olivia Perry regarding the fire study update.
Sorry?
I just want
Reminded. Got excited.
Hey, Kevin, can you see this? I gotta, no, Someone-
That's it.
one of the residents said they couldn't, they heard from speaking, but they didn't see who was speaking. Can,
So you want to move it?
well, is it set up where you can,
It should be following the sounds.
okay.
So let's just.
It's even better if no one can see me. Good evening, Lawrence Township residents, council, and distinguished guests. I'm going to ask your indulgence because I hate standing still, so I may move around, but I will make sure that the audio can always hear me. My name is Olivia Perry, councilwoman for Lawrence Township, for those who don't know me, and also the liaison for the Public Safety Committee. The council had requested a subcommittee to discuss and review the fire safety reports that had come out, but most importantly, we were charged to analyze whether or not centralization of the fire department at Lawrence Township was feasible or should be done. With that, these are suggestions from the subcommittee, not from Councilwoman Perry, but the subcommittee. And that subcommittee consisted of several members of the Lawrence fire department and a civilian that provided decades of experience from the fire department, and the civilian has had many, many years of public safety experience in his normal duties in his profession. So this subcommittee discussed, first of all, what we were charged to do. Should we have a centralized location for a fire department? Now, as with anything, you have to start with a foundation before you can come to a conclusion. And that led us to the discussion of what would that look like? At this moment in time, we had to actually take that off the table because there were other things that we needed to discuss and review in order to move forward. As with everything, again, you lay a foundation based on plans and then you move forward. So here are some of the suggestions that we are putting forward so that we can start with the conversation of centralization. Number one, in order to leverage and really secure and protect our community, the discussion was to consolidate all the volunteer firemen to one location. That was, again, to make sure that we pool our resources, because currently there are volunteer firemen at each of the houses, but at times there's not enough people in one location to actually answer a call. So if we pool our resources and have them in one location, this way we are more efficient and we can get to calls hopefully quicker and better response. This, ironically, was a conversation that Chief Oakley and the manager was already having with the volunteers. So the fact that we came out on top of their current conversation to say this should be a recommendation, a suggestion, they moved forward to implement that as of July 1st. It wasn't a policy change or procedure change. It was a management decision that would be best for the township. It was not anything that we gave them direction or order to do, but it was part of our suggestions. And I'm happy to say that the volunteers were very willing and have been very happy, and the project is been successful. There has been a significant reduction on a significant uptick on responses to the calls on 911. So I'm happy that's one suggestion we made that has gone forward. Suggestion number 2. We all know that our great history in this Lawrence Fire Department has been a collaboration of volunteer firefighters and career firefighters. Now, as with everything, change comes and we have to adapt. So we made the recommendation that at this time, we need to hire career firefighters immediately, as soon as possible, with the approval of council, within our budget restrictions. Go big or go home. I said, we all suggested 5 to 7, but I'm happy to say that with the approval of council, the town manager and the CFO have come back and said to us that within our budget, we can afford 3 additional firefighters with the 2025 budget, not precluding on anything else. Again, this is a suggestion that still has to be approved, but we went forward and asked for that. The third thing we did was, we understand that volunteering is a tradition. Volunteering is a core that has sustained this community for decades. So we want to make sure that they are being compensated, and most importantly, know how much we appreciate them. So there's a volunteer incentive program where they receive $50. So just think about that. We are blessed that their lives are in jeopardy. They take the risk for $50. We suggested that that be increased, which would be comparable to some areas in New Jersey to $100. Now, they do receive additional pay once they're on call, and we ask that that be reviewed too, which is $7 right now, that the town manager will come back and make a recommendation within reason to that being increased. So you may say, how is this gonna affect the budget? Just consider, we have actively 20 volunteer firefighters. So that will be a minimal increase to our budget. The third thing that we suggested, which it's important to understand that the Lawrence firefighters, again, go out and work on our behalf. They work Mondays through Fridays from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and then our volunteer staff fill in. So the third thing that we have requested is to review the feasibility, and forgive me, I'm skipping ahead here. Thank goodness for notes. Review the feasibility of combining, we did the combination, most importantly, review the feasibility of an independent survey. So many of you have weighed in, many of you have discussed the fire surveys that have already taken place. But we are requesting an independent bid survey that anyone in New Jersey who is a consultant, that has the experience, that could give us guidance as, does our fire department even warrant centralization? What is the best option for our township? What is the combination, the right number of firefighters to volunteers? Where is the best location? What is this gonna look like as cost? What plans or what type of facility? All of this specifically with an open bid so that this major decision is not taken lightly or quickly, because it will impact our community decades. I'll be gone and there will be something still here. So we've got to make sure we get it right. So we thank you for your support, for always coming out and always engaging with us for the communication and transparency of what council is trying to accomplish. So going forward, we will be putting an RFP for the bid, and we will confirm to you when the bids come in, how long it's going to take, but most importantly, what the continued process would be. So this subcommittee was formed to discuss centralization. But again, we cannot move forward until we have foundational things corrected and find out, does that make sense? Thank you.
With that, are there any questions from council? From the council?
I have a few, Mayor, if that's all right.
Yes, no, council.
You'd mentioned sort of the expertise of your ad hoc committee that, were any of those members part of your regular public safety committee, or were they separate from the ad hoc committee? I mean, from the regular public safety?
So with transparency, our committee consisted of a captain from the fire department, a representative from the EMS department, a volunteer firefighter and a regular firefighter, and a civilian with public safety experience, and myself.
And just a few more. It's great to hear that you want to do
Independence.
put an independent study out there. I hope that council will be able to help with sort of putting together the RFP about that.
That would be
Because I would
great.
say that one of the things that I had big concerns about from former surveys was sort of living in South Lawrence and knowing that the focus seemed to be much more up in North Lawrence in a way, or Central Lawrence, just being concerned about what response times really look like for, say, the Lakelands, Colonial Heights, or even below the Brunswick Circle. So I'd love to, be able to talk about those things as well, so that we don't miss those things in the next study, and so that we don't have to have a fourth or fifth study. We can get it right this time. And it sounds like you're on the road to that, so I really appreciate it. And then I guess I'm excited about this. I don't know about people out there, but I'm excited. So I just would love to know what the timeline is going forward, when we can sort of start this process in terms of.
Well, first of all, we have to put an RFP and a request for council to approve to move forward with the survey. And then from there, we will put the bid out, and we will give you an update on the timing as soon as, I know we're getting, believe it or not, closer to the holidays. I'm hoping to, at least with the approval of council, secure someone before the end of the year so we can move forward with this.
And then one last thing, Mayor, if I may ask Councilwoman Perry, would this be the work of your sort of ad hoc committee doing this piece, or would it go back to the Public Safety Committee?
So the ad hoc committee will simply, with the permission of council, once the bid goes out, we will present all the bids that came as a normal bidding process. We're not doing anything going forward from there. But there are a couple of things that we have been discussing, which I will update you after we've put the RFP on, that, again, are the next steps that hopefully will come to fruition before we can even, again, talk about centralization and location and everything else. So not in October, but in November, I hope to give you an update on that.
Mayor, thank you. And thank you, Councilwoman Perry, for all the hard work, sort of wrangling all this together. Thanks.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Councilman, would you like to address?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for giving the suggestions in the subcommittee, Councilwoman. On that, since we're talking about that, and Councilman Bobbitt is pretty excited about it, putting out the RFP and stuff like that. I mean, couldn't we do a vote now? Mr. Sypak on this,
There's nothing on the agenda. There's nothing on the agenda right now. I mean, I don't see the emergent nature of it. I mean, I think, and I was a ad hoc member of the committee to give whatever legal advice. I think we really need to put some parameters together with regard to the RFQ, RFP. I've done many of them. And hopefully we can have something possibly by the next meeting in terms of, I hate to say there's a concept of a plan. To present to council in terms of what we want to look at in terms of an RFQ, RFP will determine what we're going to do. But I think the speed that Councilwoman spoke of was really one that the committee took seriously, and I think there will be rather quick movement on this, because I think the subcommittee knows what it wants to put out there and present to council. So I don't see this as a long, dragged out affair.
If I could, Councilman Perry, to Councilman Bobbitt's point, if council wanted to give an input into the RFP, how would we go about doing that?
We can discuss through with the town manager what best to handle that. I think the best thing is to, Kevin, not to throw you in, but to send the suggestions directly to him so that it can be all consolidated and compiled, and then we can decide from there. Because we, as the subcommittee, as the council, and the community knows what we need to find out. So the parameters of the analysis is going to be
relatively simple.
Yes.
But it's just procedure, transparency, and making sure that we are dotting all our i's and crossing all our t's.
Would you like to say something else?
Councilwoman Perry, I want to thank you and your subcommittee for presenting this information tonight. I know residents out here, and I know me one, it's long overdue. And I'm glad to hear your report and look forward to working with you to moving forward.
And that's the main thing. We're going to need everyone collaborating together because I've been very fortunate that the expertise on that subcommittee, I love that nobody necessarily agrees with everybody, but we came together for what was necessary for the town. And that's what I was proud of. Because, you know, when you get a volunteer, you get a career, you get all the different perspectives. And most importantly, what do we need to do to pull everything together?
Okay, manager, if you had some comments.
Thank you, Olympia, for all your work. You took on a difficult task, and I think you're doing an excellent job. For credibility purposes, I don't want to be involved. And I expect that, and that's the reason why I'm doing it. I'm withdrawing from this process. However, I will work in any capacity that you want me to. That's my job to do that. I will support you in any way. I think that my removal from the process will lend to more credibility for the people that are out there. I've already done my review with Jack Oakley. I've already made my recommendations to you with regard to what I think is in the best interest of the community. It's now in your hands, the council's hands, to make the decisions with regard to it. I think it's a wonderful idea to have another study done. It's certainly, and it'll come from the details that you all find important in terms of arriving at the conclusions that you need to arrive at, which are big time decisions. So that's fine. I think just for the purposes of moving this along, and that's the only thing that I'll say, if there is just a sense from council that you want this to move forward, I think that's all we would need in terms of,
Right.
Do all of you all agree, raise of hands that it's something that you want to move forward with?
Yes.
So we have the poll of council that's done. I think Mr. Sipek's been involved in a lot of RFQ process, and he can certainly take on the point parameters with regard to this.
Sure.
I will be there whatever how you want me to help, but I think for the process, me being removed from it is probably more appropriate. And because you know where I land on all this. And I don't want any speculation from anybody that I've had something to do with getting you to arrive at my conclusion. I don't want that to happen. You guys are the elected officials. You make the decision, and whatever you decide, 100%, I will be diligently making sure that your policy is implemented.
Thank you, manager.
Okay.
With that, we are now at on the agenda for public participation. We have a 5-minute limit. If you would please come to the mic and also sign in at the sheet at the table. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Ken Kieran from Gainesborough Road. I just had a few questions, and I talked to Ms. Perry, Councilwoman Perry, specifically about this study. A good base for this would have other people besides just firemen, EMS, and public safety. People that have, and based on what I read on the Rogers and the Cotter things, that's not the right way to approach this. There was no impact, no history based on what they recommended. and to have people that know and understand what the impact is to the township, the roads, the public safety, everything, not just what's good to put a house, a consolidated house or houses throughout the township, the best fit. I had a couple of questions. You had mentioned the compensation, the $50 to $100. Is that per month or is that per call? Or is it $7 per call?
So the VIP is when they're assigned. So it normally, I will confirm that.
Let me do.
Yes, please. I was just about to say.
So it's the $7 is the pay per call. It's
Okay.
when a volunteer arrives and gets out on to the apparatus to respond to a call.
Right.
The $50 is for when they stay overnight, when they're on call.
Okay.
So that's what that's for. For, I guess, the weekend call.
And, a couple other things. The first responders, so within this study, are you going to separate the first responders from a fire apparatus responding to a first call, or just the EMS?
So for clarification, Ken, first of all, the fire study, none of the subcommittee was ever involved in that. So the fire study,
Understood.
okay.
But going forward, this is going to be.
No, they're not gonna be involved either. They're not gonna be involved. There's going to be independent consultants who are going to bid, who we as a council will choose who would best serve us to not just give us what we need to hear, but what's really going to be best for Lawrence for decades and decades to come. So that's what we're looking to do. And respectfully, if you need to fix plumbing, don't you ask a plumber? That's why we chose who we did, simply because, yeah, they have a particular stake in the game, but also they're the experts.
They're the experts in their field in fire management, emergency management. Are they experts in the planning of such?
That was not the point of the subcommittee. The
But-
planning was not the point. The subcommittee was to review what's working, what needs to be fixed. Is centralization the fixing of the problems? But when we started discussing what the steps should be, that's why we chose who we chose. So that we could understand the steps and then go back. And that's why they asked someone to come in their house and check it out. They were the ones, as the subcommittee, to say, we need to do an independent.
I'm not debating whether they're
Okay.
an intricate part of the group, they should be. But there should be other people that know
Yeah.
the impact studies within there as well, not just people that are involved in EMS and fire.
I agree. So that's why the consultants will hopefully give us the information we need to move forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Hillary Jersey. My husband and I own the home directly across from this proposed firehouse location at Route 206 and West Long Drive. I'm concerned that the
Do
addition
it
of
now, the
There is
various
no
locations.
proposed location. There is no
Okay, so on
proposed,
the
there is
old-
no centralization.
some on the old information.
Yes,
It was? Okay,
yes.
so there's nothing proposed.
No, not at all.
So can I state a concern if that is the
Yes.
future location? Okay, so basically my concern was, with the current runoff or water basin that's there, if it could cause undue harm to my home, if there is a structure on that space, and what a possible impact, water inflows, if there's a building there. Our lower level is already moister than I'd like, and I don't want further issues that can lead to mold that affects human health or structural issues from water damage. In addition, I do have concerns that a central firehouse will cause more harm for those Lawrence residents who are further than a few minutes away from the equipment and trained firefighters who can come help them should a fire emergency exist in their homes. It doesn't seem to make sense to not invest in the safety of all the residents of Lawrence The area of our town is large enough that the closer firehouses are to residential areas, the quicker help can arrive to make a difference in a quick burning danger such as a house or business fire. We shouldn't rely on the neighboring municipalities to assist Lawrence residents as a line of first defense. The Lawrence firefighters and equipment should be on the scene first and receive support from neighboring firehouses. I had heard that earlier, that the area, there's agreements among the towns to help each other. Anyway, I look forward to continuing to be updated on the process and discussions that come forward. So thank you for all your work on that.
Thank you.
Good evening, Nick Scazzeri, 11 Sunset Road, and good evening, council, mayor, and Councilman Curry. Thank you for your leadership in taking this task on, and good evening, Mr. Manager. The one issue I'd like to discuss is the amendment of the ordinance 2394-21 being amended by an ordinance 2477-24. This was part of the manager's report to council. So the original ordinance was,
This is an item on the agenda.
Is it on the agenda? Is this on the agenda?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the,
We really should discuss that when it comes up in the council meeting of the agenda items.
Please, yeah.
Fair enough.
I appreciate your comments, but.
that's fine. Fair enough.
This for items not on the agenda.
I'm sorry.
We'll see, for not on the agenda, we'll see
Yeah, thank
later.
you.
And Mayor, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is an item that is being introduced tonight?
yes, so it can't
So
be
there's no
discussed.
public comment
There's no
on
public comment.
introduced. So for the next, so typically,
Go ahead, I'll let you can explain.
introduced ordinances, there's no public comment. It's the second reading that is public comment.
And
So,
when will the second reading be?
if
October first.
October 1st.
it passes tonight.
If it fails.
Well, no, that's the point. We want to make some points prior to the consideration of the date. Yes.
Well, under the,
I mean, is it on the agenda or isn't?
It is, it's number 2477-24.
it's on, I'm sorry, Mayor. It's on for introduction. Under the statute, it's on for introduction only. And this is not just Lawrence Township, it's all the municipalities and counties. It's on for introduction. There is no public comment. At the second reading, which would be, I believe, October 1st at 6:30, it will be open for discussion. And at that time, council can consider any and all comments and make a determination to accept, reject, table, whatever they want to do. So the fact that it's on for the next meeting is not an automatic approval of anything. It's just the procedure that the legislature has put in.
So council, how can the council members make an intelligent decision without knowing all the facts?
Well, they will have the ability to hear you and any other residents that night, and can certainly ask any questions and review any comments and any material you want to present.
Okay.
What were we voting on last? When it's introduced, I can make comments to describe.
Give us a moment.
I will address it.
But it was introduced at last month's meeting.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
You brought it
It
up.
was
It
tabled.
was tabled.
It was tabled.
Table.
It was for adoption.
It's over there, you sir.
No, it was up for adoption last meeting, and it was tabled, so it killed it. So it had to
You
be,
start over.
it had to start over.
Hi, I'm Nikki Russo, I live on 2 Sunset Road. Just two things I wanted to comment on. The woman who came up who said her house is across the street. I'm sorry, I don't remember. Hillary. So sometimes when you hear, oh, I have more moisture, that I'm concerned about the water table, you go, well, that something may not happen. When we lived on 2 Sunset Road for a long time, 20-something years, 29 years. And when we were here before the new police station, there was a swamp there. You may not know that there was a swamp there. And when the new police station was built, the water had to go somewhere. So it went into my basement, it went into Orchard, it went into the one next to me. So I had to do extensive work to get the water out of my basement. So that's a real issue when you're dealing with water tables. That happened. The next thing was the fire thing she mentioned about the other rest of the town. That's something that I'm very concerned about. I lived on Mulberry Street, houses I mentioned to the committee, to council before, that a house next door to me, which was maybe 10 feet away, houses were close together, got on fire, and Slackwood came, the Slackwood Firehouse came because they were so close. Had they been further away, my house would have definitely caught on fire. So those concerns are real concerns about other places in the township. I think that's important to consider as well. Now, may I do something a little off topic? I just have a question. On Orchard Road, there was construction with the piping for the whole summer. You know, they put in new water pipes. And there's still an outhouse, like what I call the porta potty on the street. Is that going to be removed soon, you know? I'm just mentioning it. If anybody could just make a note of that, that would be really nice. It's across from my house. So that's, thank you. Yeah, not sure.
Hi, I'm Carol Katz-Conley from West Long Drive. This is not, I know we're not supposed to comment on the ordinance. I really didn't come to ask about the ordinance, but I guess I'm learning it may be related. I drove down West Long a little while ago, and I saw that one of the trees in that beautiful row of trees has been chopped down. I didn't really know why. I didn't really, I don't know, sad, but, you know, but then I understand there are some, I'm just asking, what, are there plans, is that part of a putting a new driveway in to go to West Lawn or anything like that? I'm wondering why the tree was cut down and if there are plans,
We can
what they
ask,
are.
Reginald, why the tree was cut down.
I don't know what.
On, what is it?
I can tell you definitively, there is no plans, no idea what at all to make any roads anywhere in this municipal complex to any other part of any other roadway on or around this area
So
at all.
To that point,
Just so I could just very definitively say that this ordinance, it just walk out and you can see the potholes and
I'm not gonna
the
ask you
things that's all this.
I just saw the tree, it was a big, you know,
Yeah, I
the
don't-
trees
I
are
don't-
beautiful, and all of a sudden this big tree was.
The tree was a storm, I can tell you that.
Oh, was it a storm?
Yeah,
I don't recall cutting down the
Okay.
trees. If it's a storm, then
Yeah,
that's
thank you, yeah, I didn't know that, but. Oh, and I want to thank you, Councilwoman Perry, for the hard work and the recommendations. I really appreciate it.
I just want to confirm for the record that there's no action taken on ordinance 2477-24 and ordinance 2394-21 today. Well, simple question.
There's a introduction of ordinance 2477 is on the agenda. There's no public hearing on it.
Okay. And just one other thing I want to confirm, Manager Nowinski had just stated, I believe I heard it correctly, that there will never, ever be any exit from this facility into any street in Long Acres. Was that correct?
What I said, well, we can go to the tape. This particular ordinance does not involve any creation of any new roadway from this municipal complex to any other portion of any other surrounding neighborhood, street, or anything else.
So my
That's,
question.
I can't say never, ever. I may not even be here tomorrow. Like, you know,
So
this is
here's,
just
so
how
here's,
it works.
here's my question. We were told by you that there was a mandate from DOT to install a light that required, and it's in writing, in a text message, that in order to install the traffic light, there was supposed to be, the south exit was gonna be closed, and this front row is gonna continue and exit onto West Long Drive. So my question is, was there a mandate, is there a mandate, or is the road ever gonna extend through?
I can tell you that that has been abandoned. That's not being done. As it relates to this ordinance, it's not a part of this ordinance.
So was or was there not a mandate?
I don't know what the word.
You told us that there was.
Okay. The answer is no.
Okay, thank you, Mary, that's what I wanted to know. It wasn't a hard question.
In front of me.
I have chicken scratch, so if you want to write my address, forgive me. Hi, I don't know if this is the right place or right time, long time watcher, but first time commenter. I'm not about the ordinance. So I live very close to Eldridge Park, the actual park, not the
I'm sorry,
school.
could you just state your name?
Oh, Manuel Torres. I live on Greenfield Avenue, 42.
Thank you.
No stalkers. Anyway, hi. I live very close to the playground on Eldridge Park, and I've been there for about 2.5 years, and I saw a surveyor in the park about it. I know my 5 minutes gonna come up real quick. And there's a tentative plan to build, like parking spaces in that fenced-in area with the metal slats and, sort of a track. And I was just wondering, will there be public comment on that proposed park? Because I live very close to it, other neighbors have some thoughts about it, so I'm kind of coming here on some of their behalf, so.
You can address that.
That was already before the council. It was a grant that was received from the New Jersey DOT.
Cool.
It was for a walking path around the outer perimeter of the park to make it safer for people to enjoy the park and not have to walk on the streets. And the parking area is just limited to handicapped parking spaces. I don't know about a fence or anything like that.
Well, there's a fence there now, I think proposed the handicap spot was, okay, I was just curious about that, and so that going to
And
happen.
yeah, the location, I don't think has yet to be confirmed where those handicap spaces will be. It's all part of an effort to make that park a little bit more accessible to others to enjoy as well.
I understand, I totally get it, I totally get that, I was just curious about that, and, will there be any lights put in the area in the park, or, I say it, I live very close to it,
I
and.
know Greenfield, I know exactly where it is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cars currently parked on that road.
Park Road, and towards the end of summer, a lot of teenagers like to call it their own and hang out there till midnight, and they run by my window. And so it'd be kind of cool if there's like a little light or something, because one time, I had some stuff illegally removed from my property. And so I was up late one night, and I took a flashlight and went over to the playground equipment, and some kids were there around midnight, and, they were having their own little festival there in the playground equipment.
Well, thank you for letting us know, because I don't believe the park should be accessible at that time.
Well, kids, in the last 2 weeks of summer, the kids are hanging out, running back and forth, like on that big intersection with one light. They're all there till about 11:30, midnight. So I don't know, I just I hear them run my window, and so that's just my little 2 cents, but I really appreciate this. And my main thing was that there's going to be more comment on the park itself, because some of the residents I appreciate it, it's been very informative. Thank you so much, I appreciate that. And that was just a bit about more of a chance for the other residents to comment as well, because, you know, my 2 kids are out there, okay, so just checking in. Thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy the night. I really have to go because it's dinner time. I promise you Burger King. Have a good night. Oh, they
Hi, Dr. Luzardo. My God, what a day to be here, right? Jeez, I feel like in the last hour, we progressed more than what we did the entire last year. I'm excited. I'm grateful, honestly, to be able to be here and here. I mean, we went from like fear of a firehouse to, I mean, deliverables that, I mean, we could never dream of. No consolidation, hiring firefighters, increasing their pay, transparency when it comes to creating a new RFP process. I mean, guys, let's get it. That was more than we could ever ask. And if I could add just one ask on that, one of the things that really, made us struggle last time was that between the 2 studies, there was an overlap in executives. 10 of the executives were on the 11 executive company that was in the second study, and it was 2 different companies. So obviously, none of those executives can be at any of the companies in the RFP process because that's what tainted, the first 2 studies, obviously an exchange of money there. And man, again, I'm feeling like I'm running on a high here because this is the council that I hope we had, and this is a council that now is delivering. And over the last few, you guys haven't seen me in a month, maybe since last year. And I mean, I've been able to engage with some of these folks in different events. Bobbitt, one of the smartest people that we have in the county serving. Brian, that guy has heart. That guy will show up even if he's sick with everything. Olympia, she's a trailblazer. Whenever you see Kornacki, he served. Guy served. And Olympia showed us all today that she's a strategic leader. And that's very much appreciated. So I just want to say thank you. Now, for future states, right? And I don't know if you ever had a teacher that said, hey, this is what's going to be on the test. I know that you guys aren't voting on ordinance 247724. You're basically introducing. And that's tied to ordinance 249421, right? So just like that teacher that told us that's what's going to be on the test, we're going to ask about this, right? I'm telling you, we're going to ask about this. For the reason being that last month, there was some back and forth amongst you concerning what was that all about. And one of the things that you guys have proven is that you're able to ask questions and be prepared for that. So again, we're excited. I know there's a lot of chatter about how the council is delivering now, but we're excited to be able to work with you. And we're excited just basically to have our questions answered concerning that. But above all, thank you. You guys did a really great job today.
Good evening, Martha Friend, 976 Lawrenceville Road. I just wanted to clarify something that, and maybe I was confused. Centralization might still happen based on what we find out from this third study, if that's best by the experts for our town. And so that was my understanding. Is that true? It might still happen depending on what this study shows, right?
Mayor, if I may, Mayor, if the study comes back
Yeah.
recommending centralization,
Sure.
hypothetically, that's not the determination. The determination lies with these 5 people here.
No, I understand that. It sounded like it was off the table, and as a resident, if the experts say it's the best way to keep us safe, then I would say we should do it. So I just wanted to clarify that it's not off the table, it's just we have another study and then we're gonna go through this whole thing again. I just thought that was important because we do have a whole lot of folks who seem to be against that, but I wanna follow the experts. So I just wanted to clarify that point.
Yeah, no, if I may, Mayor, nothing's, legally, nothing's off
Nothing's
the
off the
table.
table, okay.
But there'll be a determination made, it'll be, a report will be given to council, they can accept, reject, question. So we're far from any determination on any of this.
Perfect. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Rick Blue, good evening, council. I am here to speak on agenda item F1, professional service agreements authorizing a professional service agreement for the redevelopment of 3131 Princeton Pike. This action starts the irreversible process for tax abatement for a developer.
We really should discuss, Ms. Plea, we appreciate your comments. We really should discuss it when it's brought up on the
But
agenda.
there was no little asterisk saying public participation. That's, what do you say, Mr. Sypak, obviously, but, so there was no,
It's up to council if they want to.
so I mean, I'll gladly wait till it comes up because it's probably more beneficial before they take the vote. I'd be very happy to do that.
It's up to you, Mayor, whatever you
I'll
want.
wait.
It's just a procedural thing.
And then I
that's
got something for the 3-minute portion after.
all. That's fine.
Okay, thank you.
It's just procedural.
No.
Thanks. Jim, what you doing now?
Oh, I don't know.
They're golden years, huh?
Yeah, old age is not efficiency.
Good evening. Sorry, I'm the walking wounded here. As I listen to the long-range planning here, I'll be 86 on Saturday, so maybe I'll have to worry about long. And certainly, as it moves along, if I'm still around, I got a lot of more comments on that, but on a totally different subject. A couple meetings ago, there was discussion about what was the status of Eggers Crossing Community Center and the proposed changes, which I thought were gonna be around the end of September or something, to talk about it. And I knew how it worked, and I was totally ignorant then. It sounded like they were saying home front, that they were giving it up, and then I gathered afterwards that they rented it for $1 a year or something like that. But anyway, and then it was now, the proposal was that they would be out of there for it to be possibly used for recreation center, the recreation headquarters. And I just was asking what's the status?
Yeah,
Is it?
I can certainly say.
was that you today?
So what happened is that the Lawrence Neighborhood Center was an asset and property owned by the Township of Lawrence.
Right, that's what I thought, then I.
Homefront operated out of that facility as a service to the community and to continue to run the operations of the neighborhood center along with whatever Homefront was doing in terms of their charitable efforts. About a year ago, they've indicated that with their expansion on Princeton Avenue of the building that's there,
Right.
that they felt that their mission could be accomplished there as opposed to at the Eggerts Crossing site. Because of that, the township had the opportunity to take back the building, because they were going to cease operations from that facility effective September 30th, 2024, right? It was our plan to take that center and turn it into a Lawrence Township Recreation Center with the opportunity to have the Recreation Department operate out of that site and also do expanded programming and incorporate some of the essential services that were provided from that site as well. Homefront committed to work with us with regard to continuing the food pantry and things like that. So where we are right now is we're working out the details on what that may look like. But effective September 30th, Homefront is vacating that and the township will be taking it over, not running it as Homefront did. It's not going to continue on. We're ceasing operations there and we are undertaking renovations to the interior of the building because they're desperately needed. And while we work on what the new site and activities will be.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And to that point, I'm going to discuss with council under new business some additional information.
Thanks. That's kind of what I thought. The only thing was, I had the impression maybe Homefront was kind of being forced out, but instead they decided to go. And I know about the renovations are necessary. One last thing, when you talked about the survey or whatever, and I think there was some mention about trying to make sure it was covered southern part of the township, I think someone mentioned. And I don't know if I'm right about that or not, but I think if I am, I think that's a good idea because the people that I know down there, not a lot of them, but they feel as though they're the kind of forgotten souls in the township, a lot of them, it seems to me. And maybe it's their own fault, but they aren't, they feel like things like, for example, the firehouse issue is, like Lady here mentioned about the houses right next door to each other, they kind of think the emphasis is an awful lot on the northern section. I've heard that comment made to me as though I'm in the northern section. 7 East Narrow Lane is right in the middle, but.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Sylvia Cobus, good evening. Excellent work on the fire study. I think we all feel much better knowing that when we come with the concerns to the current township council, we are heard. And I think that was a perfect example of us being heard and our comments being taken very seriously. I want to also thank Mr. Bobbitt, Councilman Bobbitt, for standing up for our South Lawrence and making sure that we are fire safe and that the firehouse, if consolidated, is not moved away, far away from us and all those houses so close together. Because the further south you go, the closer they get. So We have, in our neighborhood, quite a few houses that are two-family homes. So, I mean, even though I live in a, one-family home, the house next to me is just the width of my driveway away. So that's, response time is very important. Let's keep the Lawrence, Township, Center, Community Center, a community center. Recreation, great, but let's make sure we do have a space within the township that is centered on the community and not on providing storage for recreation department equipment. So let's keep that. And also, I noticed in the announcements that there was put out, you know, what would happen to people who cut down trees, who over-trim trees on their own properties. One item that I noticed was missing from that. What happens to businesses that encroach on the township property and cut down trees? So that would also be important, the right-of-way and the township property. We have that example in our neighborhood, Trenton Block. Yes, I'm bringing that up again. Even though I heard, Mayor, your inspiration for today, don't live in the past, I feel like this is still our current situation. And those trees were removed. Mr. Purvis had put that in his report for the planning board 2 years ago. And the pictures, the aerial pictures of how the encroachment was progressing, and with that removal of the vegetation from those encroached lots. So that was never looked into. That was never, even though the owner of that business said that at that planning board meeting over 2 years ago, that he did take care of those lots. So the ones that he encroached on. So he basically admitted to removing of those trees. And also former Councilman Powers told me personally that I should go and count the stubs that were left after the trees being removed. Me, the resident, I was supposed to go investigate that. So, on that note, thank you again for your hard work. I know you're working extremely hard to keep our township a wonderful community, and we truly do appreciate it.
Good evening. I wasn't going to speak tonight. I was just going to come and listen to my fellow residents and the council members, but a few things came up about trees. Ms. Katz, some time ago, asked about a tree having to be blown down in a storm. But it shows you the love that the township folks have for these things that can't be replaced. Ms. Colvis, you just heard her about the trees that Trent Block apparently, wiped out. And also about the receptiveness of the council. And I agree with the doctor and with the others. And I did say that, Doc. You might remember some months ago, I got up here and I said, well, we had trouble with, they were gonna build a hotel in a park. And this council stepped up, and the manager, and made a deal so that it wouldn't happen. So anyway, so they are receptive, and we really appreciate it, and very close to the people. Mayor, I know you'll be at our centennial picnic, Friends of Colonial Lake Park. I'm not speaking for that group, but we are having a centennial picnic on Saturday. And the good mayor has, we had some correspondence, and she said she'll be there. But in any event, I came up really for the trees. And anyone's
invited noon to 4 for the picnic. But I came up for the trees because the last time I was here, I was really wound up because I had been called by somebody that there was a tree that was being taken down, it appeared, by Lawrence Chiropractic. And so I called the police because I said, you can't, you need a permit. We went through this whole thing. Councilman Bobbitt, looked it up. Yes, we do have, you can't just take a tree down. That's I forget what it's called, heritage or something?
Specimen tree.
Specimen tree. You can't take a tree down, specimen tree without a permit. I called the police. Again, kudos to our police department. They showed up. They weren't called because I was there. As I understand, somebody might have been saying somewhere. That's not the case. I called them. I also commended the officer because I was hot. And he said, cool off, we'll get this straightened out. Okay, the chiropractor said to Mr. Coletti over here, myself and Tom Ritter, who showed up, and maybe one or two other people, oh, this is a mistake. My wife wasn't supposed to do this. And the tree company is going too far to stop. Okay, well, he went in the office and they kept going. I love you guys in the park and I'm supportive of the park. And they kept going. So I called up, I said, come outside. The guy won't stop. They stopped. And at that time, the tree still had a pretty good crown. I took pictures, I have them, because I wasn't gonna do this tonight, but now I said, since people are talking about trees, let's bring it up again. These trees are beautiful. This is on Route 1, just as you sort of enter the park. It happens to be on the chiropractor's property, and he spent a lot of money on this building of his that he should have built somewhere where he didn't have trees, in my estimation. So anyway, I thought it all stopped there and we walked away, and I'll be done shortly. The point is, when everyone went home, he apparently, and here I'm a little shaky again, he apparently had the tree people come back and then denude the tree. And to Sylvia and Ms. Kolob's point of last week or 2 weeks ago, they sometimes cut these things back so far that they know they're going to kill it. And this is a beautiful sycamore on Route 1, and it had one right next to it. They're all in a line up there. And Ms. Kolob said to us last week, 2 weeks ago, they planted for World War I soldiers in memory of 100 years ago. So when we turned our back, he turned his back. He said that he was supportive. This was a mistake. He apparently, I don't know, I haven't spoken to him and I won't speak to him because that only would lead to problems, I suppose. But I don't know what the reason is. He knew where we stood. And I don't know whether that tree guy came out on his own and went and cut the thing down to a stump almost. And I was livid, but I didn't go there. I said the place to go is here. And I happened to see Councilman Bobbitt in the neighborhood, and we talked. And he said, and I'm not calling you out on this, Councilman Bobbitt, instead I'll give you a tip of the cap, well, let's make something good out of this. And then I go back to the mayor's Roberto Clemente comment, let's do good in our lives. And that's what I'm trying to do here, and that's what everyone here is trying to do, make the community better. This doctor happens to be from Freehold, he goes home at night, I don't know where he goes. But we're just trying to make the community better. Don't look askance at us. Don't look like we're trouble, because we're not. We're only trying to defend the community. And when others step on us, we'll come back out again. And that's what I'm doing. I'm coming back out because this guy turned around and stepped on us and denuded that tree and the one next to it, well beyond where he should have been. Now, in the final thing here, Councilman Bobbitt said, let's make something good out of this. When I ran into him a week or so ago. Let's maybe license, I don't know whether you said this, but I said, let's license the tree guys. Because this Vasquez guy who cut the tree down, I've seen other work he's done, it's not great. Yeah, so maybe we need to license the tree people. People in this community care about these trees, they can't be replaced, or have an arborist or something go out and check. They said they called town hall for permission, they give some voices that, yes, we don't know whether that's true or not. But in any event, let's do more, let's try our best
to defend our trees. And that's why I came out here, and it's a shame because you can't rewind what this guy did. And as I said a couple weeks ago, King of England, President of US, whoever, can't replace those trees, not the way they are. You can plant a sprig, but you can't replace the tree. So I come to complain about that, and to Councilman Bobbitt, in the final analysis, says that he may have an answer for this, and we'll take a positive, we'll take a negative and make a positive out of it. So I'll take any response over there if you have one, Councilman Bobbitt. Thank you so much.
I have something briefly, Mayor, if I may, just for the public and for Mr. Hooker. One of the things I did learn, that all tree companies in the state of New Jersey operating need to have a licensed tree expert. So if you have issues with the tree company, this is not just for Mr. Hooker, but anyone in this community. It's called the New Jersey Board of Tree Experts. They're the licensing organization for these people. And I'm also the liaison to the Shade Tree Committee, so I'm speaking with community members who serve on that committee to look into things that we could do that aren't onerous, but at the same time protect sort of the character and health of our community.
Thank you. Greg Liddy. Kudos to Jim Hooker for speaking out and attempting to save the sycamore trees on Route 1. I really appreciate that, Jim. But unfortunately, there seems to be a disconnect between the township being a Tree City USA and the township administration's disregard for that designation. Our neighboring town, Ewing, is also a Tree City USA. However, unlike Lawrence, they have a business administrator who likes trees there. I was driving in Ewing the other day by Moody Park on Buttonwood Drive, which is lined with mature sycamore trees that coexist with power lines running through them. They look beautiful. They are not cut back to one side like the sycamore trees on Route 1 to where the trees look abnormal and their beauty has been taken away. They were meticulously and carefully cut by PSE&G. So why aren't the ones on Route 1 trimmed to a natural state? Because our township engineer, apparently under direction of the township manager, told PSE&G to do whatever they want with them. This is what I was told by the PSE&G community representative from our area when those trees were cut in half. In fact, PSE&G was going to cut down the sycamores on Route 1 before the neighborhood got up in arms and complained. And I think Jim can, agree with me on that. Bottom line, it appears our administration could care less about the destruction of trees, including trees on township properties. You just heard from Sylvia. And here's why I said that. In August of 2022, the manager was made aware in a resident email, along with pictures of credible evidence that Trenton Block on Cherry Tree Lane was destroying trees to encroach on public parkland. Here was the response to that email. Thank you, Glenn. It is unacceptable behavior and we will not tolerate it. Jim, referencing the township zoning officer who was copied on the email, please look into this tomorrow by doing a site inspection. Let me know how you make out. Nothing ever happened with that resident's inquiry. The same resident and other residents, including myself, have complained about those inactions of an investigation for months until we got tired of our questions going unanswered by council. In fact, those residents have been coming to council meetings for 2 years and we're still waiting for answers. So much for accountability of public officials. And as far as Lawrence being a Tree City USA, unfortunately, that designation should be taken away because it's not always true.
Thank you. Thank you for your comment. But I do recall that Councilman Bobbitt on Shade Tree Committee is going to be looking into it.
Yeah, I mentioned that, but I think
I just want to make sure.
it is what it is.
Okay, thank you.
Eric Lee, hey everybody. I was gonna come up to speak about an agenda item, but I'll do that later. I noticed with all the residents that came, there was some confusion about when to address certain items, whether they're on the agenda, whether they're issues of general concern and such. So I was wondering, with a two-part request the council would consider, first would be, can those sort of parameters be articulated on the agenda? So when people pick up the hard copies they see, and that might prevent some of the confusion. Because sometimes, you know, when people talk about transparency and stuff, sometimes it's about clarity more than it is just the basic information. And then since we're considering that possibility, I know the county and I know a lot of other municipalities do this, when residents download the copy of the agenda, can we get the actual bodies of the resolutions in there as well? A lot of times, the titles on the resolutions are vague. And that, again, you know, the titles are there, you know, so it's transparent, but there's a lack of clarity. And I think that it would improve both the questions that the residents have. It might answer some of them and kind of prevent some of that consternation. And I think it would make for a more active process. So if you would consider those two, it'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
I was just gonna say, Mayor, at the end of every agenda, ever since I've been on council since 2015, there is a 1 asterisk that says with public participation. So that would be 9, awarding or rejecting of bids, 11, adoption of ordinances, and then there's another one that says no public participation can be made regarding ordinance introduction. So that would be 10. So I hope that helps.
But we listen, and if there's anything we can do to make the communication more clear for our residents, I think that's worth it.
Thank you, Mayor. And to Councilman Bob's point, I worked with these resolutions for these kinds of agendas for almost 15 years. Like saying with and without, again, there's an onus on government to be extra clear, to provide extra clarity. And so while that may sort of articulate it in a way for someone who's very informed, again, we want to create an inviting atmosphere for when people come here for the first time and they express concerns or things that are of, you know, a tender nature, like to Mr. Hooker's point, they're not nervous to come up here. Because I know a lot of people these days, especially within the past 2.5 years that I've been coming, there's people that don't come because it doesn't feel inviting. And I think we can do better at that.
Hello, Nancy Albertson. Just a real quick question. We're waiting for a fence to be put on the property that borders Trenton Block, wondering what the process or the progress with that, or I think we've been waiting well over a year.
Yeah, I think the Public Works Director is here. I think that we just need to schedule the work to be done. It's not going to be done by an outside source. Is that correct, Greg?
It's going to be a contractor. I think engineering is getting the boundaries and that all worked out. It's going to go out to bid through engineering.
So is there a time frame to get off as a resident?
I'm sorry. I believe before the end of the year, the work was supposed to be done. That's the last word I got on that.
Okay, so we're hearing that by the end of the year, the fence should.
Okay, because he's still using the property. So let it out. The other question, the dog park is great. I love walking around it, but I don't know if everybody heard that there was a fight there a week and a half ago. Maybe a little bit of police presence, cameras maybe. Somebody got almost, they attempted to back up, they hit somebody, they got spit at, slapped. Yeah, so not very, I mean, somebody from not Lawrence Township there was a resident involved. So,
It's a,
Cameras are definitely gonna be installed.
Perfect.
We've already started that process. And the police chief and I have already discussed the uptick, and we're also going to discuss for a 2025 budget to have maybe a park ranger type of person that kind of circulates all of the parks. See if we can make that happen in some way.
yeah, I think
We're gonna have some additional staff to our budget. We think that could help the police in having a more of a presence without using a police officer to do it. So we're exploring that issue.
perfect. And then maybe could we get some new equipment up at that park? It's been the same equipment for 35 years. So maybe
Yeah, I
that
can tell you that the equipment that we rotate our improvements with all the parks. And that certainly is on our radar. It's at this point not, we were focusing on all the improvements that was going on downhill. So we'll definitely take a look at that.
Yeah, because a lot of more kids are there,
Yeah.
so a lot more people are using that park, which is nice. But I think the equipment could be updated, another piece added.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
okay, with that, we're going to close, public participation at this time. There'll be another opportunity for the public to engage with us. Are there any updates to the agenda? Review and revision of the agenda.
Mayor, I believe the clerk has handed us an ordinance, ordinance number 2478-24, ordinance amending ordinance 2428-22, an ordinance of the Township of Lawrence regulating residential rental units. From the email that I believe we all received, it concerns landlords needing to furnish both the occupant or the tenant a copy of the amended certificate of occupancy, as well as having insurance for that building. So liability and insurance for business owners and rental unit owners supplementing Title 40 of the New Jersey statute. So we're just, from what Township Council has told me, or Township Attorney, it's so that we're more in line with state mandate. And then also, I'd like to make a motion to remove 18H10 closed session, because I understand we don't have a closed session tonight.
It doesn't have a number.
Okay.
It's not, it's just said if needed.
So thank you for that.
So, I'm making that motion to, I guess, then add 10B. Do I have
Do you have a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll.
Mr. Bobbitt,
Yes.
Mr. Kanaki,
Yes.
Ms. Perry,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan,
Yes.
Mayor Farmer.
Yes. Okay. If I could have a motion for the adoption of minutes of previous meetings.
Mayor, I'll make the motion. I'll move them in a block since we are rapidly approaching 8 o'clock. I'll make a motion to move 10A through C in a block.
No, the minutes.
No,
The minutes.
Sorry.
9.
Eight.
No, 8.
Oh, sorry. I should have had dinner.
We're close.
My apologies, Mayor. I'll take a second try. If I may, I would like to move 8A, B, and C in a block.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll, please.
Mr. Bobbitt,
Yes.
Mr. Kanaki,
Yes.
Ms. Perry,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan,
Yes.
Mayor Farmer.
Yes. Okay, now we have the awarding and rejecting of bids. This is open for public participation.
All right, I'm gonna try this again. Bear with me, Mayor.
Mhm.
I'd like to move 9A, number 311, authorizing awarding bid 24-7, 2024 drainage improvement program.
Any public participation? Comments? Seeing none?
Need a second.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Kevin,
Would you like me to just
Give a
briefly
brief
describe?
description, thank you.
This is a program to install sump pump collectors on various streets that experience icing problems during the winter with no other drainage resolutions available to them. So we're, each winter we have residents on certain streets that have this issue of accumulation of water that's ices, and we're hoping to kind of counteract those concerns with installing these collectors.
Okay. Any comment? No. Seeing none. Closing. Public participation. If we can call the roll.
Mr. Bobbitt?
Yes.
Mr. Kaneki?
Yes.
Ms. Perry?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor Farmer?
Yes.
Feel a little better. I'd like to move 9B, number 312, authorizing rejection of bid for Lawrence Township Home Improvement Program for 3 Allegheny Avenue.
Okay. Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay. Manager, would you give us a brief
Yeah,
description?
this is a part of our rehabilitation program. There is a maximum limit of $25,000 for each project. We did not receive a bid that was under that limit, so we need to reject the bids at this time.
Is there any comment from the public? Seeing none, closing participation. Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll, please.
Mr. Bobbitt?
Yes.
Mr. Kaneki?
Yes.
Ms. Perry?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor Farmer?
Yes. And finally?
Mayor, I'd like to move 9C, number 332, authorizing contract with Key Tech Laboratories for pavement core sampling, NJDOT 2022 Trust Fund Improvements, Lawrence Acres.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any comments from the public? Kevin, if you could
Yeah,
give us
this is a
description.
compliance issue with grant monies that we receive from the New Jersey DOT. And once we do work utilizing those funds, we're required to do this type of testing to be able to certify that we were in compliance with the grant requirements.
Thank you. Okay. Any comment or questions from the public? Seeing none, closing public participation. Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll, please.
Mr. Bobbitt?
Yes.
Mr. Kaneki?
Yes.
Ms. Perry?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor Farmer?
Yes. And now with the introduction of ordinances without public participation. Someone please.
Mayor, I'll make the motion to move 10A, ordinance number 2477-24, ordinance amending ordinance number 2394-21 by the Township of Lawrence, County of Mercer, State of New Jersey, in order to revise the description of the improvement herein.
Do I have a second?
Second.
And Mr. Nowitzki?
Yeah, this is an amendment to modify the description of anticipated work to improve municipal parking lot. Within the ordinance, it's in order to comply with New Jersey budget law. This is not a request for additional expenditures. It's not a request to approve work. It's merely a request to include a description within a funding ordinance. And the principal reason is for milling and paving and to repairing the municipal parking lot areas. The reason why the language municipal complex parking lot improvements, it's a little vaguer. You do that to allow for, if there is something that needs to be addressed within the scope of work, you can do it. Like, for example, we have some foundational issues that are involved with the poles on the solar, holding up the solar panels. It's collapsing. And so that's not within the milling and paving description. But it's a municipal parking lot improvement. So it's just a language to allow us to do all this. Importantly, you will have the opportunity to review the bid and approve the bid to understand the scope of work that ultimately it will come out of this particular project. This project was funded already through the budget. It's shifting it and moving it into a different funding source, but you are not approving or giving green light for me to go out and do improvements. That's still a part of the procedure where there is a bidding process, and you will, just like we're rejecting and authorizing bids, it's the same thing. You're going to get to see everything that's gonna be under this particular project.
It's more, it's administrative.
It's budget finance
Budget finance.
compliance.
Perfect. Okay. Any other questions? We have a motion and a second on the
We already
floor?
have it.
Okay, if we can have a motion, please.
Roll call.
Roll call.
That's what I meant, okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Bobbitt,
Yes.
Mr. Kanaki,
Yes.
Ms. Perry,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan,
Yes.
Mayor Farmer.
Yeah, yes. Okay, now we have the adoption of ordinances.
Mayor, there was the one additional piece.
Oh,
We-
Yes,
we-
thank you, we did add one to the
So-
addition. We could have a motion for that, please.
I'll make a motion to move 10B, ordinance number 2478-24, and ordinance amending ordinance number 2428-22, an ordinance of the Township of Lawrence regulating residential rental units.
That's what we do today, and do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, and Mr. Nowinski, is there anything else to add?
Yeah, the New Jersey passed a law that put an additional obligation on municipalities to collect liability, proof of liability insurance for landlords, both residential and commercial. Our clerk identified that we needed to make this amendment to comply with New Jersey state law. So we kind of rushed to put it on for this one so we could get it passed hopefully the next time. So we remain compliant with New Jersey law.
Yes, Madam Mayor, if I may, I've had opportunity to review the existing ordinance, the statute passed by the New Jersey legislature, and find that the revised ordinance as proposed comports with the New Jersey statute, and we would be in compliance by moving forward with this. Thank you.
Okay.
We can call the roll, please.
Mr. Bobbitt,
Yes.
Mr. Kanaki,
Yes.
Ms. Perry,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
Mayor Farmer.
Yes. Next, we have the adoption of ordinances. Please.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for 11A, ordinance number 2476-24, an ordinance amending chapter 435, article 4 of the Township of Lawrence Administrative Code entitled Motor Vehicles and Traffic -Engine Braking.
Do I have a second?
Second.
This comes from the recommendation of the police chief in response to resident concerns about tractor trailers that are hitting their brakes systematically, causes great noise and disruption to the quality of life of neighbors that live near the streets. And with this, it will allow our police department to better regulate and enforce the unnecessary act of that type of braking.
Is there any questions from the public? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, closing public participation. Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll, please.
Mr. Bobbitt.
Yes.
Mr. Kanaki,
Yes.
Ms. Perry,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan,
Yes.
Mayor Farmer.
Yes. Okay, now this brings us to our manager's report.
I don't have anything to report this time. Though to say that I do love trees.
Very well. Yes, we will do it. Next, we have the attorney's report.
Nothing, the only thing I commented on was the addition of 10B, and that is in line, as I said, with the New Jersey statutes. Thank you.
Okay. And Madam Clerk.
Just tomorrow, I have a meeting with the county for elections. They are pushing for a lot of us and promoting that you vote early, and that, do the early voting so we don't have long lines. They expecting a very good turnout, but we're expecting a very good election. All right?
Very well. Okay, do we have any unfinished business? Okay. And then, under new business, I just wanted to, I know it was commented on earlier regarding the Lawrence Community Center and the status of what is happening there, with the departure of Homefront, who served, the neighborhood tremendously. We are so grateful and thankful for all that they did during the time that they were at the Lawrence Community Center. And we look forward to the additional services at the Princeton Avenue location. I just want to say the community surrounding the Lawrence Community Center and abroad is very excited about the opportunity of the Recreation Center, the Lawrence Township Recreation Department coming to that location. I have, however, received a lot of some concerns with regards to what will happen during the closure, how there are certain organizations that will be displaced during that time of the closure, and that in the moving forward of the recreation department, as was mentioned, we're very excited, myself included, about the programming that our township recreation department has to offer, the expansion of services, and the ability to increase the space for our community. So very excited about the ongoing community engagement. I know that Councilman Bobbitt very recently on Saturday attended an event there that was community-based, very well received. About 60 people just, we need a place in Lawrence where members of the community can come and gather, be it for educational purposes or some historical, opportunities. As many of you know, there were members who came from the community who came and spoke about the historical significance of the community center, and members of the community want to make sure that as with welcoming the recreation department, that the community is not left out, so to speak. And so as the mayor, I know I've spoken with Manager Nowinski about my concerns with regard to that, and that I wanted to make sure that for all intents and purposes, members of the community at minimum have an opportunity to share their concerns with council and to, as we move forward, it is important that they're included in the process. As was mentioned, the food bank being one of the possibilities that could continue with the recreation center. And if you know, there are about 100 families that receive food at that center. And I had the opportunity to see with my very own eyes the impact that not having that there at the community center would impact members of our community that are in need of that service. So I am asking, and I'm bringing before council this evening, I would like to create a mayor's task force with community members with the objective of advising council on community concerns that moving forward, giving voice to certain matters such as, for example, the Edwards Crossing Civic League is an organization that was profound in starting that community center. So what role can they play going forward for our community? And so I come before council today to see if, if you, one, are in agreement, and two, if you would support such a task force that would exist for a minimal time as to solely for the purpose of advising on some of the concerns with regards to the Lawrence Community Center. Yeah. And as I'll state again, the community is very excited for the recreation department to come to the Lawrence Community Center. It is an asset, it is a tremendous opportunity for the programming, the excellent programming that we do here, to expand it, to give it more space, to give it an opportunity to grow. And many will benefit from that.
Madam Mayor, may I ask a question? Has there been a commitment to continue the food bank?
On record, we would like to make that commitment.
To continue it?
To continue that.
Through the recreation?
Through the site of the recreation, yes.
And who would be continue to fund it?
The fund, it is an existing program that is done through, I believe, the county or some other organizations. And also, there are several organizations in our town, and this may be an education for some, that food, relationships with various organizations, or there are churches that donate food to the center for people to have access. There are some other, larger, food share types of organizations similar to what they've done. So it would be at no cost to the township, other than to distribute the food. And there is, well, the committee could get more information on that.
Thanks, Councilman. Mayor, as you were talking about some of the organizations that will be displaced, I immediately started to think about some of the community organizations that are still sort of around that area. I'm thinking Eggers Crossing Village, I believe, has a clubhouse that maybe groups could meet in. I know Eggers Crossing Baptist Church has a beautiful fellowship hall that could be possibly used in this interim period, as well as even if people are willing to sort of go around the corner, maybe possibly St. Anne's as well. So I think, I agree. I think a sort of a mayor's task force on this issue sounds appropriate, if only because there's so many moving parts that I think even the five of us together, we would still be trying to figure out what's going on. And having sort of people, who are connected with the community, who know that area better, and who also, I think it would also be really helpful for Recreation Department, Council, and the Township to have also people outside of that immediate area on that task force to also give insight into why it might not have been utilized as well by, say, people in Councilwoman Perry's neighborhood on the other side of town, or in the north or the very south, right? Like, so to have those different voices together, I think sounds really wonderful to me. So, yes.
Yes.
Thanks, Mayor. I totally agree with you on that, doing it as the mayor's task force on that, because, and also get the community involved in it is a big part. You don't want to let the community out, just go in, but I totally agree, and I think it's a great idea.
Madam Mayor, what I'll do is I'll check with the 112 Fillers Home. We used to do a food bank there. I will speak to them this week and I'll get you an answer. And maybe for the time being, it's a short walk where they're at to come up to the center and do it in Drill Hall there. All right, I will find out. Friday, I have a meeting. I will find out then, and I will get back to you.
Thank you.
No, only just for a matter of record, do we need to take a vote to set up the committee? I think it would be very valuable to us moving forward.
Mayor, before we do that, could I just ask Township Attorney, would it make more sense to have a resolution sort of outlining that kind of stuff?
Yeah,
And would it be possible to have something ready for the next meeting?
Yeah, I think it would be better to have something outlining the tasks of the committee. And we could have that for the October 1st meeting. I'm okay with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, and thank you all for your support.
Mayor, can I just interject, just because we're having this community conversation right now? One of the things that maybe the task force can do, because you're gonna have to make a decision. The Recreation Department cannot run a community center. It's just not properly staffed or funded that way. So certainly, if there is the census of the policy of the majority of council that this should remain a community center in its sense of a community center, then maybe there should be, we should be looking to nonprofit organizations that may want to fill the role that Homefront filled. because if we take that building over, we have to immediately start to do renovations to comply with the handicap requirements. There is no elevators there. There's no way for a handicapped individual to get to the second floor or to the basement. So when we take that over, we will be limited in the area to open up to the public until we start to do these things. Now, it was grandfathered in, and Homefront was a nonprofit, fully operating that, and through state funding, the township was providing $108,000 a year to assist Homefront in doing that. And they were able to do it in compliance with the law because it was all a grandfathered situation. If we take this over as the recreation department with expanded programming, we will immediately have to begin substantial renovations to give access to everybody that wants to utilize that as a community resource. So that's something that should be a preliminary topic for discussion. Where do we want to go? Because the recreation department can remain right where it is and continue to do all the programming that it does, and we can try to engage a nonprofit to operate in whatever fashion this advisory task force wants to do. And that will, because we're looking at costs. I mean, the reality is, I'm sorry that I'm the money, like if money has an issue, if we're going to be expanding our fire department, we're going to adding more police officers and things like that. The thought of running a community center in addition to a recreation department, it's just something that can't be done with the cash.
That is not what we're proposing at all. That is not.
I know it's not a proposal.
We can discuss that, but that's not what we're proposing. And I did ask council to look into whether if another organization, because you had mentioned that another organization and the township could not be in the same building. Is that right? So
to have a tenant sharing a same building with the recreation department is not.
Not legal, yeah, that's what I was trying to find out.
I would think that there would be some legal situations involved.
There would probably be some issues there to facilitate that, but I can get you a more definitive answer.
So there are a lot of questions, and I know you're not proposing it, I know that, but these are things that need to be aired out and discussed, because we could go any way you want to go. It's just that one way will allow us to continue in maybe very similar fashion, right? And the other way could present a change that we may not be able to financially take on.
And I just want to just get clarification. When the building is grandfathered in, and you're saying that with the renovations that township would make for the recreation department would not be suitable for other public groups?
No.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that if once we occupy the building and utilize it as a center, we will now have to make it handicap accessible in the areas that programming is going to happen. There's two beautiful buildings on that second floor. A handicapped individual can't get to it, so we need
That's the case today.
Yeah, because it was being operated by Homefront, a nonprofit.
Owned by the
And then there
township,
was
though.
Homefront does not own
No, the township owned the building.
the building, correct.
But while Homefront
Occupied as a
occupied
tenant,
it for 30 years,
20, yeah.
yeah, they were legally grandfathered, and did not have to make those improvements. The minute they move out, and no matter who goes in there, it's state law. It's not our municipal law. It's state law.
And it would be the township as well, would have to make improvements.
Which we have begun the process of, we had our engineer and our public works director and our recreation go through the building to see all the different things. We
I
have
just want to make clear, so if the recreation department were to move into 371 Edwards Crossing Road, which is the Lawrence Community Center, renovations and improvements would be made so that handicap accessibility and any other state required building laws would apply.
Correct,
That's accurate. Yeah.
So the improvements would have to be made either way,
no matter what.
no matter what. So if there were some additional things that needed to be incorporated in that building, how would that impact you during the well, that's what the committee will, advisory committee discuss. We don't need to do it out in the open here. Okay. Yes, it's not time for public.
Forward just for 1 second.
Yes.
You can do
No, I got it.
Yeah, you're good. So we'll close that out and then you can come forward. We'll enter into the 3-minute participation.
Good evening, everyone. Laura Hetty, 57 West Long Drive. I just want to get clarification because I'm trying to understand if the community center, if we're just moving the rec department in there, or if we're keeping it as a community center, regardless of what Homefront is doing. Because I'm hearing the rec department is moving over there, we're going to do programming, and I'm hearing the neighboring communities excited for it to be a community center. If we're moving recreation over there, that's one thing. If it's going to remain a community center, that's another. What are we looking to do here?
I think that's the point of the whole thing. That's the decision process that needs to be
It
made.
hasn't been finalized,
It hasn't been finalized.
correct?
Correct?
The only thing that's been finalized so far is that Homefront is leaving the community center September 30th.
Right, I understand that. September 30th, $1, they've been paying rent. I heard a $108,000 figure to what is being going into Homefront to subsidize them.
Right.
Food pantry and just educational for everyone. The Eldridge Park Elementary School does have a food pantry that's open to everyone in the community, regardless of whether or not you have a student there. Please feel free to stop by, contact the principal. I'm the PTO president there. I'm happy to put you in touch with anything that you may need. I would be very interested in being part of the task force. I think the community center is a huge part of Lawrence. It has been for a very long time. In addition to being the president of the PTO at Eldridge Park, my 3 children are involved in sports here in this town, in their church here in this town. And I think the community center is an invaluable part of our community. And I would hate to see the recreation department put there and lose everything else that it means to this community. So I just want that to be kept in mind.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, Dr. Lizardo here. Well, first of all, Mayor, thank you, for highlighting that. That actually, it shows how connected you are with the constituents of the city. Pushing for things like a food pantry to remain in that area. I don't know, one of the things that my parents always taught me is, you guys know, I think I mentioned, my parents were janitors at one point. Like, we're one thought away for having a need in that food pantry. Like, literally, one thought away, one job loss away, one accident. And one of the things that I realized this summer was this, one of the kids, when I went to pick up my son at Eldridge Park, I bumped into one of the moms, and I noticed there was a food pantry there. And she said something along the lines of, oh, wow, they haven't brought meat in a long time. And that's how I realized she was one of the people that I was taking, food home in the from the food pantry. And I realized that's her only source to get meat. Someone that my kid plays with, we're constantly spending time together. We weren't aware of their needs. I know at times this is quite humbling. Thank you. And I think collectively, as we shared stories about our background and our struggles. I think that's an important thing to keep up front. I'm not sure about the needs of the rec department, but I'm pretty sure they have a place to be right now. But that rec center, it's the only safe place for a lot of people. And if there's anything that I can do, or I'm pretty sure more than willing, there's a lot of people talking that we're willing to support you and sign up, but whatever it needs, like, we want to support it. Because it really is a major need in our city.
Yeah.
Greg Woody. I'm here to speak on agenda item F1, professional service agreements authorizing professional service agreement for the redevelopment of 3131 Princeton Pike. As long as it's on the agenda, I'm going to get up and speak. This action starts an irreversible process for tax abatement for this developer. The 3131 Princeton Pike redevelopment plan is the perfect example of how to abuse the New Jersey redevelopment law and dupe the citizens of Lawrence Township. I have spoken several times in front of this council, and at no time did this council ever dispute that this project was concocted as a result of the manager having private meetings with the developer. At no time did this council ever dispute that the township planner has an appearance of conflict of interest that allowed her to benefit financially by her actions working on this project. And at no time did this council ever dispute that the planners produced a Fox report in support of this project. And at no time did this council ever dispute that the township used the New Jersey redevelopment law to bypass our citizens-appointed zoning board so as to guarantee approval of this project without sound planning principles. The township administration touted this plan to the council and planning board as a much-needed rateable. But what they did not say, until the deal was legally locked in with the developer, is that they are now seeking a pilot agreement, payment in lieu of taxes. Here's how a pilot works. The developer agrees with the town to pay more municipal taxes than it normally would and locks in that deal for 30 years. Why does the township get more? Because the town can legally let the developer off the hook for 95% of the county portion of taxes it would have normally paid. And it also lets them off the hook for 100% of the school board taxes that they would be liable for. What a way to stick it to the hardworking families in this town who have to pay county and school taxes for the next 30 years. I ask the council to reject the service agreement. It is not fair to the tax-paying residents of this town who pay their full share of taxes. Developers and holding companies should have to pay their fair share too. I ask council to reject this service agreement because once you agree to it, the developer will take you to court if you don't follow through on it. Thank you for your time, council.
Sylvia Kovas. I was present last night at the planning board meeting where the vote was for the 3131 Princeton Pike. The impact on the school was discussed last night. And one of the, I can't remember exactly who it was, I think it was the planner for the developer, who kind of wanted to put a smoke screen for us, the residents, with the impact on the schools, talking only about the affordable housing units. They're going to be great, wonderful apartments from what I heard. Excellent, the same quality as the market price apartments, all of that, wonderful, absolutely for it. The problem is the discussion was how only the affordable housing units are not going to impact the schools, but not the rest of them. I believe there's 30 affordable housing units in that development. We're not worried about that. Affordable housing is great. It should be brought into the township as much as possible. The way that developer puts those into that community is great. However, we're not worried about that. It's the rest of the apartments. It said that 3-bedroom apartment might have only 2 children because of the vetting that needs to, I'm not gonna go into the detail with that, because of the vetting that goes into affordable housing units. But then the rest of the apartments, with 2 bedrooms, you can still have 2 or 3 children living in 1 bedroom because they will not be vetted for that. So there might be a greater impact than what the example used of affordable housing, which I thought was a terrible example to use at a public setting, as if the township residents came out against the affordable housing units being there, and we're worried about the affordable housing units putting impact on our township schools. Absolutely not. So we're worried with the payment in lieu of taxes, how that's going to impact our schools. So we're paying, my daughter is out of school, out of public school. I continue to pay taxes, school taxes, which I think is great because when I move out, I want great schools for someone. That's an incentive for someone to come into Lawrence Township to have those schools being wonderful still. And I don't mind paying my taxes for the school board. But when a developer with so many apartments, around 260 apartments, that's a lot of apartments. That's a lot of money that they're going to be making and not contributing towards our school, enough towards our schools, our fire department, and our police department. So please consider that in your voting when you vote on this, to make sure that we, the people who are continue to pay our taxes the way that we're supposed to, are not burdened by someone who comes in, makes money, and pushes the responsibility onto us. Thank you.
Eric Woody again. I want to talk about, obviously, F1, the pilot payment of taxes. I'm really glad that we had a little bit of a communal conversation here about the community center. I'm a little bit of an odd duck. I grew up, yes, I'm looking to the other guy. I grew up having a lot of pride in what my taxes paid for. Obviously, police and fire, we know all of this, things that protect us, that keep us safe, but also social programs, schools. I went to Lawrence High School, all through Lawrence. I benefited so greatly. I would not be who I am without Lawrence Township Public Schools. And as an adult, as a homeowner in town, I also know that the cost of living is increasing, and that's not entirely the fault of any one person in this room. There's a lot of things at play there. But when we have a large, pristine piece of land that, understandably, although to a lot of people's point, the property was 60% full, so I wouldn't exactly call it an area of needed redevelopment, but that's happened. Once again, the past is the past. But it's a really pristine piece of land, and we're at a crossroads in this country where, especially people of my generation, are seeking out affordable places to live. I would certainly like to see, condo options or something where people could build equity, could That's something that a lot of people in my generation aren't entitled to, but again, not entirely the point. But I want to tie this together to a couple of things, because we have heard about Trenton Block. There's another development near my end of town. It's known commonly as RPM, and it's 100% affordable housing, but it's put in a place that puts the folks who would live there at an enormous environmental and quality of life risk. The developer themselves said that the playground for children was made to flood, and since it's next to the shopping center, it's going to flood and get caked in oil, gasoline, pesticides, and things like that. And I say all of this because now we have 3131, and I think about, and I've addressed various steps along the process, trying to be engaged, and that's because I'm hyper vigilant when it comes to things in our town. I'm an odd duck, I understand. There wasn't exactly a public outreach to see what the public thought of this plan. In fact, by bypassing the zoning board, there were certain notifications to local residents that really didn't occur. But again, that's just the past. But during that, our community development director has said that fundamentally this project is about affordable housing, and that we need to meet that obligation of developers will take us to court, which is true and fair. And this project is 15% affordable housing. If it was 100%, I could understand the pilot. But this pilot says that this developer won't be paying for things like substance abuse treatment services from the county, homelessness services from the county, band equipment for students, books, basic things. This is really a question of social equity, and you can always revisit later. You can say, we want to see a larger share of that be affordable, or we want walkability, or what have you, because those things had, in fact, the Shade Tree Commission's requests for this development were cast aside. And so I would say, you know, reconsider this, because we're all very good neighbors here, despite all the pushing and tugging, but this project is being touted in magazines as an investment opportunity for developers who haven't even bought it yet. And something like a payment in lieu of taxes is going to make it all the sweeter for them, make a lot of money, but drain money from the vital resources that we need. And I just hope you consider that. Yeah.
Thank you for your comment.
Something?
I had three things on my list. Two were good and one was negative. But for some reason, I can cross the negative off because I don't know what it is tonight, but somebody found the volume or somebody is using their outside voices. The sound system seems to be working much better tonight. So thank you, whoever found that volume control.
Can you just say your name? Can we have your name?
Can we have your name? Your name.
Oh, I'm sorry, Cheryl Selman, West Long Drive. On the good side, I want to thank the Public Works Department. I had sent an email to them in regards to the walking path at the lake, Colonial Lake. There was a vehicle that was actually driving down the path. They quickly responded to me and they quickly put up a fence and a post. So thank you for that. And also, we had a tree come down across the street the other night in our neighborhood. And my husband spoke to the Public Works when they were picking up the branches. And this morning, promptly, that debris was also cleaned up. So thank you for that.
Thank you for your comments. And thank you for the works, Ms. Weaver.
Sylvia Comas, I just wanted to add another thing that I heard yesterday at the planning board. One of the experts spoke very disparaging towards our committees, environmental committee and shade tree committee. He said that their reports were a lot of mumbo jumbo or something to that effect. I don't remember exactly, but he was, they were disregarding those completely because that was just not necessary comment for them. So just to let you know that this developer does not take our community members who put in their time to keep this community what it is and make it better, and calls it mumbo jumbo or something to that effect. I cannot quote directly. So thank you again. I'm sorry for standing up again.
Thank you for your comment.
We're Jim Hooker. We're really having quite a dialogue tonight, so appreciate the time of the council, surely, my fellow citizens. I just want to jump up because tomorrow we're going to meet Friends of Colonial Lake Park, nonprofit that is advocacy and helps the park in many ways. We're meeting tomorrow night at the community center. Yeah, we had our first meetings of the community about this project that we were fighting at that center. And the reason was we couldn't get into the library. I went to the library to try to get a room years ago. Can't get a room. You could never get a room. Tom Ritter, our president, was able to get a room a couple of times with this. We had an arrangement with a local corporation that took that back. So that community center has been key for us in terms. We're going to meet as the executive board tomorrow night. I think there's a basketball court in the back. A lot of kids. It's a great place, and I agree that with you, Mayor, that it should definitely remain as a community center because it is so vital for everybody, and the food pantry you mentioned as well. I also thought, since we talked about the fire department tonight in a bunch of different ways, I forgot a couple of times I wanted to mention. A few months ago, I had to call the fire department because my burners wouldn't go out on my gas stove, and it just wouldn't stop. And so I was really concerned. Everything's red around it. I'm not gonna go back there and try to mess around. I called the fire department, and our Lawrence Road, I live closer to Slackwood, but I don't think they had enough folks there that evening or whatever. But Lawrence Road came out with a full group of guys, three young men and an older guy who was like the captain, and another guy who was in the truck. And they were just fantastic, and they pulled the stove out of the wall, and they took the smallest guy, jumped behind there and turned the gas off. But they were there, in minutes. They were fantastic, Lawrence Road. And, I've had occasion to use that service, so, unfortunately, but they made everything great. So I don't know about what Mr. Politti's saying about pilot program, but it sure does at first blush. It doesn't sound great to give those kinds of breaks with that many kids coming in, and then you don't pay a school tax. That just doesn't seem to wash, as some would say in the old-fashioned way. But I mean, I don't know the details, but it doesn't seem like it makes a lot of sense with however many 250 or some kind of number of apartments that Ms. Coldis just mentioned. So that doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. But anyway, so just a few things to bring up that, yeah, I'll be there tomorrow night at the community center with a board of folks that do things for one of our parks. So there's an example of the use, and the library is overstocked. You can't get in there oftentimes, good as they are. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment. With that, we're going to close out public participation and move on to our resolutions.
I could do it, I have it written down so I can pull. Mayor, if I may, I'd like to move 18A1 through E4 and H1 through H6 and H8 through H9 in a block. Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, could you call
Oh, wait a second. Mr. Moffett, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
if you could do your.
Yeah.
All right. 18A1, so bond acceptance number 1 through E4, which is the end of the special items of revenue. Then H1 through H6, because Councilman Ryan had a question about H7, so I'm going to introduce that separately.
Correct.
And then H8 and H9, because H10, we do not have a closed session. Correct. So that's why I was skipping that.
And you've separated out F1. Okay, great.
That's in between the E and the H. Yes. So we're all, are we good?
Okay, do you have a second? Councilwoman Perry. Madam Clerk, if you call the roll, please.
Mr. Bobbitt?
Yes.
Mr. Kanaki?
Yes.
Ms. Perry? Yes. Mayor Ryan?
Yes. No,
I mean, Mr. Ryan, I'm sorry, I'm tired.
No,
Mr. Ryan?
I had to correct you on that one.
Yes. I'll be calling all y'all mayors. Mayor Barber, I'm sorry. Then we can laugh. Okay. Now.
All right, so are we ready?
Yes.
Excellent.
Sure, I mean, we can hang out, this is all good. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to introduce F1, number 320, authorizing a professional services agreement for the redevelopment of 3131 Princeton Pike.
May I ask a question?
Yes, Councilwoman.
We need a second first.
Oh, sorry.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay.
Now
Any
we
other questions?
Mr. Manager Kevin, could you clarify pilot payment in lieu of taxes? So for example, if the developer was gonna pay $100 in taxes, of which, what percentage would go to the county and then come to us, which would also include paying for services and the school? Payment in lieu, we would get 95 of the $100?
Art, I don't want to step on Art's toes with regard to this, but.
Okay.
Go ahead. Step on them.
Okay.
Just for, I like seeing things in numbers.
I mean, first of all, I did provide you guys extensive memorandum
Yes.
explaining the pilot program.
Yes,
Several pages.
but for,
Yeah, for the people out there.
yeah,
Yeah, so 5% goes to the county and the rest goes to the municipal government.
okay. Which we can spend where we need it. Okay, so for example, if we would need,
The regular distribution is something like 55% to the school. I don't have the exact amount. 55% to the school, 24% to the county, and 22% to the town, something like that. I don't
Something like
remember,
that.
but that's kind of what it is. So, but in this scenario with a pilot, and we have 6 already in our town and recently approved for 40 Enterprise, and the last one was Heritage Village that I think was approved as well, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, whatever it was. Yeah, so that's how it works.
okay. So again, for clarification, down the road, if the developer is making a lot more money, can that be adjusted
It would be an agreement for a period of time.
for a period of time?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. And,
It doesn't have
this
to be 30 years.
doesn't have to be. We can set.
Understand that you're not being asked to vote on the pilot
I was
tonight
about to say that.
or enter into an agreement for the pilot. This is solely to engage professionals to provide us with you and us with information relating to what a pilot would look like for this town, so you can ultimately make the decision on whether or not to go forward with it.
So, and we're not paying for that.
Correct.
And
There's an escrow
Correct.
that's drawn from paid for by the developer.
And what type of transparency do we have for the results of, for example, if they come back with a number, how do we know that's the right number?
Well, if I may,
Yeah.
it's a public document. I mean,
Okay.
you know, It's a report that would be given to council. It would be a public document, subject to Oprah. And you can agree with it, disagree with it, accept it, not accept it, send it back. I mean, it's up to you to make that determination. The fact that you award and it's a little misnomer here in terms of the title, authorized professional service agreement for the redevelopment. It's a professional service agreement to allow a pilot study to be obtained, paid for by the developer, as to the viability of a pilot for that development. It comes to council for review and discussion in public, and it's up to you collectively to agree, disagree, send it back, whatever you want to do.
And let me just say, based upon statements that have been made here with regard to the genesis of all this. Several years ago, the property owners, developers came to the township and requested a courtesy meeting with township officials, myself, the planner, municipal engineers, and attorney to discuss the development of this property. It came in, their proposal, like most developers do, came in ridiculously large and dense and 5-story buildings and hundreds and hundreds of rental units, for which we responded, no, this is not consistent with the character of our community. We are not interested in it. They indicated to us, can we collaborate together to come up with what the town, the professionals think would be something that the community would find to be an asset. And so over the course of multiple meetings and interactions and collaborations, the project was greatly reduced. And it was the township officials' idea to put forward the element of a mixed-use situation, keeping the setback as it exists now from Princeton Pike to preserve the character of that area, provide mixed-use opportunities for businesses to go there and be a part of that situation, but also potentially be a destination for residents at large. Also, what was discussed was what we felt that potentially was needed in our community, and one was for housing for young professionals who grew up in Lawrence and want to stay here, and it gives them an opportunity for the opportunity to do that. And also elderly people who sell their primary residence, but they want to stay in the community that they've lived in for 40 or 50 years. So the developer took what we felt could be a very good opportunity for the town and met us in a collaboration to come up with this plan. The scope of it in the beginning was so big that a pilot was not even an issue because they were going to get their justification for all their investment into this property because there was so much involved in it. Over the course of time, it was greatly reduced and became something that the township officials felt was better suited for our community. But then what resulted was, this isn't going to work for us at market rate taxes. In order for us to do this, we have to enter into a pilot agreement, meaning the ability to find a way that we could do this project and also financially make it work and have the town have something that it's participated in and collaborated in that thinks it's going to be an asset to the community. That's what's at issue here. And we have engaged in pilots through our history. It's the whole purpose of redevelopment. Redevelopment is, we've got a dying section of town over there, and the opportunity doesn't present themselves a lot. To me, 7.5 years, there's been 2 redevelopment pitches to me. So we have an opportunity to redevelop an area of our town to provide housing sources, a mixed use element. And in order to do that, we have to meet the developer in the middle with the pilot to make it happen. If we don't do the pilot, my sense is there will be no development. They will not do it because it doesn't make sense. What potentially will happen, which will most likely happen, is those front buildings will be razed to the ground and there will be potentially a tax appeal that would reduce the taxes from that area. So this is not a situation ultimately that says, we just say no to the pilot. They're still gonna do what we've already negotiated and asked for them to do. So there, it's bigger than just saying no, make them pay more. It's not gonna happen. So we have an opportunity to do something special for the community. So it's a little bit bigger than that, but this is just to prepare you guys for what a pilot could look like.
This is just a study to get us informed.
Mayor, can I just read something? I think it'll be helpful about what, in our packet, and I appreciate a member of the community asking to see the rest of these resolutions. No, it's late, and so I think it would be appropriate for me to read this into the record as to Exhibit 1 from Phoenix Advisors LLC, what their scope of services are for a pilot evaluation. I think many in this room would be interested in it. So bear with me while I have some water because my mouth's already drying up and I haven't even started yet.
Do you want me to read it or?
I'm good. I'm good. Pilot evaluation services. So they say Phoenix Advisors provides expert financial advice at each stage of the redevelopment project from conception through operation. The lots of stuff I'll skip over because I really need to go somewhere else right now. Pilot evaluation services. Review developer pro forma / assumptions to confirm projected rents, expenses, construction costs, and financial terms are in line with the market. Analyze the proposed pilot terms, debt issuance request if applicable, and general level of tax abatement to confirm that they are consistent with broader market trends, state law, and are suited to meet the needs of your community. Independently model the project's viability, including analyzing and critiquing developer projections when available. Analyze the financial impact of real estate taxes and pilots on the project. Evaluate the need for tax abatement along with various alternative tax abatement structures. Estimate the impact of the development on municipal costs and school costs on taxpayers. Prepare pilot projections and compare benefit versus traditional and current taxes. Analyze, propose, and negotiate additional financial and community benefits as may be requested to address your unique circumstances. Conduct and support negotiations with the developer regarding pilot calculations, escalation, the timing of payments, and the terms of the abatement and other incentives. Thoroughly analyze pertinent financial aspects of the financing agreement. Comment and propose changes as necessary. Prepare presentations to the administration, governing body, and the public as required. Attend working group meetings with the administration, developer representatives, and other professionals as necessary. And then finally, provide a final comprehensive report on the impact of the development, including a recommendation on the proposed pilot terms. To me, Mayor, this seems like a professional services contract that would help me understand the situation. So that's why I'll most likely be voting yes on this. So thank you for letting me read that in.
Thank you, Councilman Bobbitt, for introducing that into the record. And also, yeah, I would agree. It allows us to make an educated decision as council members. So this
Mayor,
is a study.
He said most likely, so there is a chance that he won't vote for this too. Just saying.
I mean, you've stayed this long. I gotta keep
I picked that up. Most likely, so there is a chance.
I appreciate you.
You see, there's a chance.
I appreciate you listening closely. We're all working together here tonight. We're all working together here.
Yeah, let's put everybody out of their misery and take a vote.
Let's see, we have a motion and a second.
Did we do a second?
No, we did.
No.
No, I don't think
You didn't do a second.
No
Yes,
motion.
Madam Clerk, give us order. So where are we in the?
You're all tired.
Everybody said you're late night rest. Go ahead.
Motion,
Motion to approve.
who's the move? You made a motion?
I made a motion.
Motion, can we have a second?
Second. I thought Mr. Kaneki.
Jim, yeah.
Okay.
Councilman Kaneki.
All right, didn't you guys have
We have
discussion?
discussed, so we're gonna close the discussion.
Okay.
And now, if you would call the roll, please, unless there's anything else anyone needs to contribute.
Come there.
Anything
I
else?
was spoken? Okay, we're closing the discussion, now we'll have a call for the roll.
Okay. Mr. Bobbitt?
Yes.
Mr. Kaneki?
Yes.
Ms. Perry?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
No.
Mayor Farmer.
Yes. Now we are
On H7.
8-7.
H7, okay.
All right, Mayor, if I may, I'd like to move H7, number 329, authorizing the acquisition of one 2024 shortstop M6 Avalanche street sweeper. Wow. Let's see.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, Councilman Canappi, second that, and now we
Mayor
have
Pro-
discussion.
Mayor, yeah. I just have a question, Mr. Nowinski. Do you know when we bought, I thought it was recent, a couple of years ago, that we bought a new sweeper? Or just a new sweeper on that?
Well, luckily we had very good.
That's why I'm asking you, but if I ask Greg,
Yeah, no, that's fine. So,
so I'm asking you, I don't wanna get
I
in
don't have,
trouble.
no, you're fine. I don't have a recollection of us buying a sweeper, but Greg, you.
No,
Do you want to come to the, somebody, we need to educate
I just have like two questions.
Yeah.
For Mr. Nowinski.
that stage of your life.
The answer is no. Our current street sweeper is over 10 years old. Street sweepers, mechanical street sweepers, as what Lawrence uses, has a lifespan of 7 years. And we're at the end now. And just something to add to this, me and Peter, and Debbie have been saving grant money towards this for the last 10 years. So each year we've been squirreling away grant money, which I believe we have about 107, is it 150?
150.
Yeah, I don't have my notes. $150,000 worth of grant money to go towards this that's been squirreled away over a decade. So we knew this would be coming. And street sweepers are, everything in public works now is very expensive.
So that's I know that we put 150 in grant money, Mr. Nowinski, and in your budget in January, it was that you proposed 100,000, so that'd be 250. Between that and the sweeper is 432,000?
Yeah, that's correct. That's the price of the street sweeper.
Wow.
And that's actually on the
432,000,
lower.
so we're over 200,000 that we're.
No. I'm not sure what you're looking at.
So.
Yeah, no, I saw this here, and in his budget address, going back into his budget, it was 100,000 for a street sweeper. So this is.
Mayor, if I'm reading this correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, Manager Nowinski or Mr. Whitehead. Under revenue source, we have one revenue, I won't read the account numbers because it's really, there's the 2024 various equipment street sweeper, that's 150,000. 2015 clean community grant for $16,921.35. And it goes on to the 2016 clean community grant, 2017 clean, 2018, 2019, 2020, 21, 22, and 23, all clean community grants of various numbers, ranging from a low of 13,000 to almost 20,000. And then there's the 2020 various equipment heavy equipment fund. That's another 134,455.45.
And I think, Councilman Ryan, that's what you're seeing is the different accounts.
Correct.
That we were making this purchase from. And I think at the end of the day, it equals out to the $432,000.
Okay, we add everything up, that's the.
That's correct.
All right.
And what Clean Communities allows is 20% a year you can tuck away and save for a future purchase like this.
Yeah. Very good, thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So the best thing, the price is covered.
Yeah.
The cost is covered.
Appreciation for the sweepers. Okay. So with that, we have a motion and a second.
Yes, you did.
And discussion, any additional comments from council? Okay, we're ready for a roll call.
Mr. Vada?
Yes.
Mr. Kanaki?
Yes.
Ms. Perry?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor Farmer?
Yes. Let's see, where are we?
Initiatives.
19.
Okay, council initiatives and liaison reports. Want to
Mayor,
go first?
I'll just start on this side and keep it moving. I'll be very brief. The shade tree, we're gonna look at starting this fall about ways to protect our trees, so I'll keep council informed on what that might look like.
Mayor, we're good except Colonial Lake Lane Saturday, the 21st,
Okay.
100 years.
12 to 4.
12 to 4.
Planning board, okay. Okay, we heard, the planning board, met last night,
Excuse me.
and, things are moving, with the 3139 project. And Starbucks, was approved, for Mercer one. Yes,
The pad.
the pad and the expansion of the Starbucks. Okay.
Just quickly for growth and redevelopment, there have been, several new, businesses that have joined Lawrence, which is always a great sign. The last of which we attended the, grand opening for the Affinity Credit Union, which was last week, which is here. So it goes to show you that our town is thriving with new and, additional businesses to continue, the great town that we live in. The last thing I'll say about the fire subcommittee is that I understand being a man on an island because I live in Liberty Green. We don't have any fire access. If it wasn't for mutual aid, I don't know where we would be. So trust me when I say we are going to do what's best for the entire township and make sure that everyone is supported and protected. Because in 2012, what I went through with a fire there, I never want to speak about again, and never want anyone else to go through that. So that's why we're going to make sure that from one end to another end, as per the experts, we are protecting this community.
Thank you. And Mr. Knapp? Yeah, that wonderful event in September 11th. Okay. Now, for written communications, we are going to hold on the written communications. There are some questions that a few members of council still had with regard to those applications. So we're going to hold on that.
Mayor, may I ask why, Alderman Tony saying it's been since, April that this gentleman applied, and ever since then, we've been putting this on hold. All right, so we had plenty of time to review this application.
Yeah.
Plenty of time.
I thought, Mayor, I thought that we were sort of downsizing because it was so big.
No.
That, how many members are on there? There's 12 or so? On the rec department, I
This
believe.
group is there for the 4th of July, is out here for.
Well, I thought you were, no, I don't disagree.
You
I thought,
mentioned about downsizing, and I said we would talk. It was you, not me. I was never for downsizing. You asked me to hold this application, and I said yes, because I thought we were gonna talk back in April. All right? I just feel it's time we appoint this gentleman. There is an opening. We do have a slot open.
Yeah, there's another discussion that we probably should have offline, but with regards to some of the changes that are happening with the Department of Recreation, that we may want to consider.
Yeah, but if somebody wanted to apply, they would have applied by now. This is the only gentleman that has applied for this position. And every month that it comes up, or whenever it comes up, we're ignoring it and saying to this guy who wants to volunteer for this township, and who was a previous, I think, president of the Little League, very much involved with the community from what I see on his application. He was Thunder Football, Lacrosse, Little League helmet, Little League president and treasurer. He is a very involved person here.
What I would like to do, I personally would want to reach out to Mr. Musi, because I know that there's some other members of council that also wanted to meet him as well.
Mayor,
Then it should have been said for us to do an interview. It was never mentioned. See, what's getting me is it was never mentioned since April. And again, we're gonna tell this gentleman, let's hold off so we can come in and do an interview to interview a person that is well qualified to be on the recreation.
I hear what you're saying, Councilman.
Mayor, I'd say I'm sort of surprised at this conversation because typically in the past, we've always allowed for sort of the non-statutory ones, so not zoning and planning, we would interview, but typically all the other sort of advisory committees, we would defer to the council liaison for that committee, so.
I was not necessarily speaking of an interview per se, I was doing it because Councilman Bianchi said that no one had reached out to the gentleman, so I wanted to make sure to reach out to him, you know, the courtesy, not to.
I spoke with him. That's why I'm recommending him. If I didn't feel he would qualify, I wouldn't recommend him. And I think most people up here know me. And I would tell you straight out, he don't qualify. This gentleman qualifies. And unless we say yes, we're gonna say no again tonight for him. That we don't need an interview for.
I said, no interview was requested, I just said it.
Okay, I'm just saying. I just feel we should make him,
You wanna do a vote?
yeah, I feel we should do something with it. It's either yes or no vote, but I think we should move forward with it. If he gets the yeses, he's on. If he gets the no, then we'll tell him come back.
Taking a vote.
So we'll take a vote on application for recreation
I'll
advisory.
make a motion to appoint Anthony Musi to the Recreation Advisory Committee.
Second.
Madam Clerk, if you call the roll.
Mr. Bobbitt?
Yes.
Mr. Kanaki?
Yes.
Ms. Perry?
Abstain.
Mr. Ryan?
Abstain.
Mayor Farmer?
No. Okay, do we have a motion for adjournment?
I second. I make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all for coming out this evening.
Oh, I thought the doctor.